What is up, Evil Dead fans? I know what you're thinking. Brett, you're wearing glasses. What are you gonna do? Start a blog talking about fancy coffees and microbrews? No, not at all. The reason why I'm wearing glasses is for the last few weeks, probably a week and a half, something like that. And the reason why I haven't been putting out any more of these videos is I've been fighting a virus that affects my nerves, and I could have gone blind. So luckily, we caught it in time, and I didn't actually get it in my eye. If I would have got it in my eye, there was a good chance I would have gone blind in my left eye here. I still have numbness from around here going around here. All this is like numb to the touch, so the nerves haven't kicked in yet. And every once in a while, I get like a lightning. It was like lightning striking you in the back of the eye. So I've been fighting that off. So I've been wearing my glasses. Yes, I know I look like a young version of Beavis and Butthead's neighbor. I know. Relax. This is just temporary. Anyways, we're going to talk about side handles today. And you're going to say, well, Brett, we already talked about side handles like a million times. Well, there is an art to this to make it look really good for Ash vs. Evil Dead. I never really kind of went over it. Now, while I've been fighting this off, I've been working on my stuff. So I don't have any to show you in progress that I've done. I got a final result, and I'm going to tell you how to make this look really nice. I know a lot of people, what they do is they basically cut it. You know, this is for Ash vs. Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are completely different. A lot of people just cut it, round it, done. And just leave all the little nicks and shit in there. And people like that stuff, but if you want to make it look nice and refined and brand spanking new, I'm going to tell you how to do that. Now, right here, before we get started, this is a little red side handle that it was given to me by Al Briardi for his chainsaw. And I called him up and I said, this is fucking trash. Because, as I've said in the past, they're about this much taller than a normal Homelight XL or Bandit handle. They're nice and durable, and they are good if you have a big top, like a tall top. It'll solve your problem, but this is all cut wrong. I'm gonna use this as an example on the video. But yeah, I got no use for this other than this video, I'll be honest with you. And I'm gonna show a comparison with another handle that is the right size, that is a metal handle, but you can see the difference in height. And I said this later in the video, I've already recorded it. If you guys want me to go over how to modify a metal handle to look like one of these, not this one, but like a proper one, I can do that. Just put in the comments and let me know if you want me to do that, because I can do that. It's not a problem. So with that being said, don't mind the glasses right now, because it'll go back to normal at some point. Let's get into it. So welcome back to my dirty workbench. I actually cleaned it off the other day and it went right back to shit. So let's talk about side handles and how to make it look nice, get a nice finished look. Now I know most people what they do is they basically cut it off, round it out, that kind of thing. And I'll go over a few options. Now this is one from a Little Red. And like I've said in the past, and I said earlier on this video, these are a little too long. The reason why I have this metal home light next to it is you can see the size difference. This is the right size of height. The Little Red's a little taller. A good reason to use a Little Red is if you make a top that is a little too tall. It'll kind of start to even out the spacing a little more. It'll still look tall, but it's an option. It's not the greatest, but it's an option. All right, and if you guys want me to go over more on how to modify a metal one, let me know in the comments and I can do that for you. I'm going to really center on these kind of, we call them plastic handles. In reality, they're not really plastic. They're more of like a petroleum-based piece. It's basically like a big car or truck tire, like a really dense one. The Little Reds are a little more dense than the actual, like the old Homelight ones, the ones that are a little bit shorter. I don't know why, they just are. A lot of times when you get a handle, they will be rotted out in spots or worn out, chipped up, things like that, and I'll show you how to, or tell you and show you the final result on how to fix that. So what you want to do is you have a couple options here. One thing we're going to have to do is make a rounded end. Now with this one here, if you're going to do a full-on brand new rounded front, you're going to need milliput, that stuff. You don't want to use sculpting clay or anything like that, nothing that shrinks or cracks, because it will fall out and it will look like crap, and don't use it. Milliput, Hobby Lobby, I'm telling you, That stuff's miracle stuff. It's the best stuff you can buy. And that's what I made my dagger out of. So there you go. So if you're doing a full-on brand new rounded front, you can see right here, see where it kind of gets straight? That's where you want to cut it. And then after you cut that, you just add a big ball of milliput on the end here. Now there's another way to do this, and that's to round out this piece. Now what you want to do is you find that right where it straightens out, and instead of cutting it here, you want to cut it out actually a little further back, and then you want to tape off where you don't want to sand, because you can end up actually sanding too much and it looks too small. Then you'll have to add milliput anyways, but it is still another option. Another thing that you need to realize too, when you do cut into these, a lot of times there's air bubbles in them from when they made them. So you're gonna have to fill those in regardless. So definitely pick up milliput. So once you added your milliput, whether you sanded it down or added milliput in any way, you sand that down flush, make it nice and round. So this from here to about right here will be rounded. So basically you're almost going to be straight across. Almost. You're actually going to be back just like a little bit. It's going to be like that. It's going to be like the end of your chainsaw right there, where the rounded end is right there. So once you've done that, the next thing you got to do is you have to fill in any cracks, gouges, anything like that, because you know if you get one of these older ones, they can be all gouged out. The little reds ain't too bad because they're really super dense. The way you fill it in is you remove any access that's hanging off with an X-Acto knife or a utility knife, and fill it in with milliput. Let that dry, and then you sand it down properly. Don't use a super abrasive sandpaper, something a little bit lighter, about 180 grit, right around there. It's kind of what you want to go with, and then kind of go down from there, kind of smooth it out a bit. And you don't have to smooth down the whole thing. You definitely want to try to keep this line right here, and if there's an inner line, you want to kind of keep that too. You want to keep that look. If you can't, that sucks. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Depends on the handle you get. Okay, and I do suggest to do the milliput all at once, so everything dries at once. You can sand it all at once. Trust me, I spent hours of sanding freaking just round balls of milliput off the end of these things for hours. Like one to sand for me, because I always add a little extra, takes me about an hour to sand. And you want to start with something super abrasive, like about an 80 grit, 100 grit, then go to 150, 180, and then just keep knocking down to about 200, 220 until it's nice and smooth. Once you're done with that, you want to add some tape at the bottom here, where it actually inserts into the chainsaw body. The reason why you want to do that is we're going to do some texturing. When you texture it, you don't want anything extra to get on this end here, because it fits pretty snug into the chainsaw body already. If you add anything to it, it may stop it from going in, and you'll have to remove it regardless. So it's best just to tape this off. You want to knock these holes out of the tape where you actually insert in the chainsaw, because the best way to do it is to clamp it on something, or clamp like a screwdriver or anything thin that can fit in this hole to anything where you're painting, and just sit it right in the hole so you can actually texture it properly. Now, when it comes to texturing, since this is like a plastic slash petroleum based item, you can't just go in and paint or just texture. So what you want to do is you want to find a primer or a paint primer combo that adheres to plastic, rubbers, and stuff like that. And they do have those at a hardware store, like right here. Like this one is, it says right there, it also bonds to plastic. So that is an option if you can't just find a primer. You want to get it primered up, and then after that, let it dry, of course. And then after that, this is what I use, multicolored texture. You can get it in gray, brown, or this black color. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's got kind of that kind of peppered, kind of rough look. It's very similar to how these handles came out of the factory. And when you texture it, don't be heavy-handed. Be very light-handed. Just kind of, spray it about a good 2-3 foot away, and take as many rounds and coats that you have to do to make it look uniform, because if you do it super thick, it looks really droopy and sloppy. Definitely be very lenient on spraying that, because it will goop up and it will look like shit. So you want to be very lenient on that. So once you're done doing that, then you paint it, and I use a satin canyon black with that. The reason why I like using satins right off the bat, because I can use other sealers to dumb it down. Don't go with anything super gloss. Trust me on that. You'll regret it. Unless you really like something that shines, I guess. But that's why I always go with a satin, because if I want to use a matte sealer, it dumbs it down a bit. Okay, this one's done here. This one is a Homelite XL handle. Had a bunch of gouges in there. I filled those in. You can see it is uniform. Nice rounded edge in the front. Let's turn that up a bit. Come on, let's get in there. You can see it's textured all the way through. And I was able to keep that line up top, around the side, all the way through. Let's turn it around. And there it is. Looks really nice. And like I said before, this is not load bearing. Don't be swinging your chainsaw around by this, because you'll ruin your finish. Always grab your chainsaw when it's done by the top handle. You can always wear it and grab a hold of the side handle. Just don't be swinging it around or trying to grab it with your foot like Pablo, because you'll end up ruining your finish on it. It's just not really load bearing, unless you want to do something with like a metal one, to where you want to swing it around or lift it up with your foot. But the problem is, you're still going to have a problem with ruining your finish. That's how you get a really nice finish look on that handle. One last thing to go over is the attachment. Now, if you're going with more of a season 1 look, more of a first appearance look, you're going to need to get a 4mm hex head bolt. And it's about 1 inch long, and a 4mm nut on this other side. That's how you get that kind of first appearance look. Now, if you're wanting to get more of like a season 2 auction photo kind of look, one little tip I'm going to give you is, when you get a Homelite XL, keep your bolts. Keep all the bolts, because if you get one of these, you get a bunch of these little bolts. See if I can focus. These ones right here. Now, these ones are what attaches the side handle originally. You'll get one of these. It'll come through the bottom. There won't be one through the top. So what I do to get more of like a season 2, season 3 look is I keep these and I insert it in there instead of this. And then if I have another extra one, or I can go to the hardware store and get another one very similar, is I actually cut off a lot of the threading. I leave just a little bit on there and get a Loctite glue, because this bolt, that one bolt right here, won't go all the way through. And I put a little Loctite glue where that hole is right there, and then shove that little piece on this other side so it won't go anywhere. So that's how you get both looks for the attachment. Now, since I have been gone for a week or so, I think tomorrow I'm going to go over muffler blocks, measurements, and things like that, and for optimal hand room. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, you guys stay groovy.